I don't know exactly how long to let this shit go for. Okay, yes. Okay, there it goes. It's only my second time ever working it, so I don't know. I don't quite know the cues yet. But welcome everyone to another episode of Fan Fuel Motorsports, where fans fuel talk about motorsports. We're at episode 83, and I'm joined by two members of Rowdy Nation. There's rumors of a third, maybe fourth, joining here in a little bit. But I am with Ashton O'Neill and Dalton Good from Left Turn Colt. Guys, what have you guys been up to? How's it going?
Not much, man. Just it's the off season.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And other than taking care of my grandfather, I've been with the off season at hand and all, been mainly just hanging out at the hockey rink mostly.
All right.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, I've been battling another sickness. I was telling Ashton earlier before we were live that I was sick like 6 weeks ago too, and missed a whole week of work. And I've already missed 3 days this week because I'm fucking sick again. And I absolutely hate it.
Dude.
Yeah. No bueno.
Is it the flu? Because that's been going around bad.
I don't know, probably. But
I hope not.
Yeah, I started out, had a nasty cough, and now I'm still have a little bit of a cough, kind of raspy. But, oh well, not much you can do. But we're here to talk about the end of an era for Kyle fucking Busch. As we end the JGR days and look forward to RCR. Excuse me. Trying to catch my breath. Let's talk about his 2022 season to kind of open up the Rowdy Roundup here. It was fairly disappointing. He had several wins that I think he definitely deserved, that the team either didn't have the car set up right, being that, a technical failure happened, or it just kind of got ripped out from underneath him. So what were some highlights and maybe some lowlights of the 2022 season?
You go ahead, Ashton.
I'm definitely going to have to say, as far as the top three is concerned, as far as highs, in Kyle Busch, there's not really all that many. Although he did have a great run at the inaugural Cup race at Gateway. Another thing I really liked, this year about Kyle Busch this year is that despite spinning out early in the Daytona 500 and missing all those wrecks, he had, in my personal opinion, his best finish yet in the Daytona 500. But obviously, winning at Bristol was the biggest thing. Now, the lowest of lows, I'm going to go with all the technical failures, obviously. But for me, the lowest of lows, I would have to say when I went to Pocono. Leading all those laps, he and Denny Hamlin both. Leading all those laps, only to get a notification from a friend of mine saying, "Hey, you heard about Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, didn't you?" As I'm leaving the track. I'm like, "No, what? What's going on?" They got disqualified. I'm like, "Disqualified? They ain't posted nothing yet." So I turn it on to Sirius XM, then lo and behold, they're talking about it, even though they didn't post nothing on social media yet. I was like, what? I mean, it's just so mind-blowing how it happened. But obviously, as far as a family aspect, the welcoming of Lennox to the family and all, just say that she's Kyle's twin, putting it mildly, is seeing, he and Samantha struggle with infertility issues and all in their personal lives and all, and highlighting that, and finally get the second child that they've always wanted. It made my heart, to me, that's the biggest highlight, other than just winning at Bristol. To me, that's the biggest highlight, because there's really nothing too credible on kind of all the technical issues that he's had, whether it be blown engines or just bad runs in general. So, like it is, it's an end of an era. I mean, he's been the winningest driver of the 2010s. It's just, I'm ready to see what he does for RCR, especially after mending all these fences.
So that's pretty good list right there. But for me, I'm going to start with the highs. really the best is obviously the Bristol Dirt win. And really ironic too, because he that very week he was talking about how much he hated the dirt race at Bristol, and then he goes out and wins it.
He backed into it.
He honestly did. I'm not going to lie about that, and I'm glad he did, because if he didn't, that would have been his first ever winless season in the Cup Series. Really, what sucks is that there's not many highs after that. Of course, except the birth of their daughter Lennox after years and years and years of struggling. But unfortunately, there was just too many lows this year. It really, not only was it a bad year for Kyle on the track, it was also a bad year off the track as well. First you had the uncertainty with Eminem's leaving. Everybody thought for sure, okay, Kyle's going to get a deal done. Who's not going to want to sponsor him? It didn't work out that way, unfortunately, which was shocking. I don't really know what the whole deal was behind closed doors. Hopefully we can figure that out one of these days. But, first you had that, and it got to a very late in the season where still nothing was still signed, and you're thinking, okay, well, what's going to happen? What? Just very uncertain future. But after that, really, I don't know if you guys remember this, but the shooting at that Mall of America down in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
That he was involved. Well, his family was inside there, just having a good time, spending time with the kids, and riding amusement park rides, and then that all happened. But luckily there were no injuries, no deaths in that situation. Everybody made it out safe, so that's the best part of it. And then lastly, the death of Coy Gibbs on race day on Sunday, and Coy was Kyle's actual car owner, and he's been with him through everything in 15 years at Joe Gibbs Racing, and it's that hurt. That hurt. As a Joe Gibbs Racing fan, that really hurt on Sunday. It didn't feel like a race day. I was looking forward to Kyle Busch's last race at JGR and his last race at M&M's, and I just couldn't. That really hurt me. As soon as they brought the news that morning, it was very unfortunate. But it just wasn't a good year all around.
Yeah, you look at the passing of Coy this last weekend, and I mean, what a horrible situation all around. I can't imagine what Ty must be going through. I mean, the absolute highest of highs and the lowest of lows just the next morning. But not only that, like you said, Coy is listed as the owner of that 18 car. A lot of teams do that. If you guys ever look at the entry list for JRM, Junior doesn't own all four. He's got, LW Miller and Kelly, and they all own a car. And Coy was the owner of that 18 car, just like JD owned that 11. And for Coy to pass away the morning of Kyle's final race in that 18 car, kind of the end of the era, was just, I mean, that's a horrible deal. It feels like it didn't get finished out correctly. It feels like you just tore the last chapter out of a book. So really somber moment this last weekend. And again, I mean, thoughts and prayers go out to the Gibbs family. That's just a horrible situation. I can't imagine it for Ty and, just all the family and Joe losing two kids like that. Got to be super tough. On track, I look, like you guys both mentioned, I'm just going to echo it. A lot of lows this season for Kyle on track. Even take out the final 8 weeks of the year where he just seemed to be plagued with mechanical issues or pit stop issues. I go back to Darlington where he had a super fast car. And of course it did not end the way any of us expected. Pocono, obviously that was another really tough one for Kyle fans. Just kind of this whole year has left, I don't really want to say a sour taste, but definitely a little bit of a bitter one as far as just the performance of Kyle. And, we as Kyle fans, y'all have been through that before. 2020 was kind of a rough year as well. But hopefully with the whole new slate, I think not having the off-track distractions will definitely play into Kyle's favor this next year, especially going into an entirely new situation at RCR where he's going to have to, have a clean slate and a clear mindset going forward to that. Let's rewind the clock here, about 14, 15 years. Let's go back to pre-JGR Kyle, from his rookie season all the way up until the end of 2007. That was, for me, maybe not performance-wise, but that was peak personality Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I mean, it's been he was. I mean, he's named Rowdy for that reason because he's crazy.
Yeah, those Hendrick days. So I actually was only a Kyle Busch Hendrick fan for only one season, because I started watching NASCAR in late 2002 with Terry Labonte when he was driving the 5 Kellogg's car, and then after he retired, I kind of fell away from the sport. I kind of just forgot about it, and then one night in 2007, we were flipping through the channels at my grandparents' house, and I see the driver intros for the Budweiser Shootout, and I'm like, wait, go back. I finally remember NASCAR now, so I want to watch this. And I had to figure out who was in the 5 car at that time, and they told me it was Kyle Busch. I said, okay, well, I guess I'm going to pull for him. Yeah, Hendrick, that 2007 season was wild, that's for sure. It wasn't. It definitely wasn't as tough as this year was in his final year at Gibbs, but really, Kyle getting fired from Hendrick and going to Joe Gibbs Racing was a huge benefit for him personally, if you think about it. And I always go back to the Ron Hornaday incident in 2011. Yeah, when Kyle signed with Joe Gibbs Racing in 2008 through late 2011, he was still the way he is. And then after that Ron Hornaday incident, Joe finally sat him down and said, okay, you need to straighten out here because you just about lost your sponsor. You just about lost your job. So it's time to chill out.
Exactly.
And yep. And it woke Kyle up, and he became a much better person. He ended up having a kid 2 years later, and he's a whole lot better man right now. So that's one thing I'm very thankful for Joe Gibbs Racing, just maturing Kyle and making him the man he is today.
And, one thing I want to add on, Dalton, that I did not even know until I watched the Rowdy documentary that was only in theaters that one night. I did not know he was really close friends with Rick Hendrick's son.
Yeah.
Because he loved Ricky Hendrick like a brother. And when he got killed in that plane crash, that's kind of what started the downfall of Kyle Busch at Hendrick Motorsports.
Right.
And then he started, all this personality change and all. And I'm like you, in many ways, Dalton, is I remember sitting here right here in the living room watching it on this TV right behind me. The same race when I think it was David Starr get real loose and he gets up into Kyle and Hornaday gets into the wall a little bit more than Kyle did. And it's obvious. I mean, obviously Hornaday is still a lot more torn up than compared to Kyle's car. And when he lost his temper, I'm screaming, "Don't do that, Kyle! Don't do it!" And he did it. And I was like,
it was stupid.
Did I just witness that?
It was stupid.
It was. And being honest, I mean, as a Kyle Busch fan, I've watched him, from the Hendrick days on up, and I've respected him because he was that one that, that one driver, that a lot of drivers today are so afraid to speak their minds because NASCAR's afraid to fine them. But Kyle Busch, he tells it like it is. Even back then, he told it like it was. But the thing is, when he did that to Hornaday, even though I was still a fan, my respect was at an all-time low for him, even though I was a fan. And I'm like, well, let's see how he rebounds from this. And lo and behold, he calmed himself down. Joe told him to knock it off, and look at where he is today. Even though he had the lowest of lows this past season, he still got. I think Joe sat him down along with a few others to get his mind right on where he needed to be in this journey in NASCAR.
Yeah, and I want to go back to that night real quick too. I remember, I was in 8th grade that year, and I remember he was still on probation for that year for the Elliott Sadler incident at Bristol in the truck race there, for taking him out. He basically waited under green for Elliott Sadler to come back around, and he dumped him right on the straightaway exiting 2. And I completely forgot about that he was on probation, and that's really why he got suspended. But I remember watching that race, and I saw the incident. I wasn't even mad because his car wasn't even that torn up, and it was so early in the race. Okay, just go out and get 4 tires, get back in. Everything's fine. And then I see him going up to Ron Hornaday. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? And then he just turns him in the wall, destroys his truck. I'm like, dude, what the fuck was that? Like, you just costed a win, and you costed Ron Horday's championship hopes. It was beyond stupid. It wasn't smart at all, and I was actually scared right after that because I had no idea. Like, again, I forgot about the whole him being under probation for the Bristol incident, and when all the news, like, I mean, I knew he got suspended, and I'm like, well, this sucks. But then there's a lot more fallout after that because nobody knew if he was going to be able to race for the rest of the season. And then I was scared, like, oh, wait, were we really done for the rest of the year? Like, it's that serious? And luckily, like he came back the very next week. But then after that, Eminem started talking about pulling out for the rest of the season and beyond because they didn't want to sponsor Kyle anymore. And then that's when it scared the shit out of me, like, because Kyle just about lost Eminem's right there. And I was like, dude, yeah, he has to chill out. Like, this has to be the end of, the asshole Kyle Busch, pretty much. Like, it has to come to an end right now. And I'm thankful for Joe for that. He sat him down, chilled him out, and they went on to win a lot more races and 2 championships after that. So that, I mean, regardless how fans felt this season of how, Joe Gibbs Racing may have treated him, you have to go back to that. You have to be thankful, for that moment in time to get Kyle where he is and have him be the successful driver that he is today.
We do have someone else joining us here. We'll make some room here on the screen here for Chad Harrington, a.k.a. Flagman Dixie SGA on Twitter. How's it going, Chad?
Hey, Chad.
What's up?
If you're talking, we can't hear you. All right, we'll let him figure it out a minute. But yeah, I mean, pre JGR Kyle and then leading up to JGR Kyle, I mean, it was a great time to be a fan of the sport, especially a fan of Kyle. Around that time when Terry Labonte retired, I became a Kyle Busch fan because I was a Dale Jr. fan up until 2005 Daytona 500, when right before that I learned of Kyle Busch driving this 5-car now. So I got to, as a Kyle fan, experience his first win at Fontana, which at the time, if y'all remember, he was the youngest winner in the history of the Cup Series. I got to witness him and Kurt wreck each other in the All-Star race, which was nuts. The first COT win where he got out and said the car drives like shit, essentially.
I was at that race.
Yeah, and I mean, all the way up.
Lucky you, Dalton.
The first Toyota win in Atlanta, which was awesome to see in that badass Snickers Flames car.
Yes.
So a lot of good early Kyle memories kind of leading up to that Hornaday incident that we had discussed prior. What kind of, Chad, you got us?
Yeah, I finally got you.
Oh, there we go. All right, hell yeah. We'll give your take on this. We're talking Kyle Busch pre and early JGR. What do you remember about Kyle in that time, like 2005 to around 2011?
I would say he was definitely one of those guys that trying to make a name for himself. It was like over aggressive. Let's speak our mind and don't care about whatever. And, it's almost like he sort of disrespected the elders of the sport at some point. And, he learned a lot of lessons due to it. So I can't really say that it was a bad thing because that's when I started liking him as a driver. And that was because at that point, that became my fan favorite because of the fact that he was pretty much well outspoken, and he reminded me of how I used to drive at a slot car track too. He didn't give a crap, didn't give a shit. He was, balls to the wall, flat out. If he had to qualify for 200 laps, by God, he was qualifying for 200 laps. It didn't matter if he was going to tear the right side off or what. His car might have been shit, but he was going to give it hell for 200 laps.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we'll get into what we know is the Kyle Busch rule with the Xfinity Series here in just a little bit when we talk about his Busch Series career. There's also another Kyle Busch rule, and around that same time that was implemented because he was 16 years old. They were talking about him running in a NASCAR Busch Series race, And that then led to the rule of having to be 18 years old to run a lot of these races. So there's 2 Kyle Busch rules. One of them is preventing teenagers from currently running in the top couple divisions in NASCAR.
Well, I mean, even that, did it not get rolled back to where the trucks you could be 16?
Yeah, I think you just have to earn your license, so to speak, to run the bigger tracks first.
You know, that was well after Kyle had done his duty, and some of these guys actually showed promise at the age of 16 versus, you know, just because you're Kurt's little brother don't mean you can come in here and drive a race car kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly. We look forward into Kyle's career, not necessarily forward, about the same time frame. He opened up KBM, Kyle Busch Motorsports, in the Truck Series. Their first race was in 2010, and they are still ongoing. And then he opened up the Xfinity Series. Then we remember the few years that he ran that 54 car in the Busch Series from 2011 to 2013. That was a pretty cool time. The opening of KBM, obviously, we had that big issue with Hornaday in their second season. But what do you guys remember from KBM early truck days and Xfinity days?
Well,
I'm going to go ahead and say – go ahead, Chad.
Go ahead.
The 54, from when he was having to do it his own self, you know, he was buying chassis and then having to do whatever it was, and he felt his own stuff was not, I guess, inferior to everybody else's stuff, and he wasn't getting the same stuff that he should have been. And that right there goes back to your technical alliance stuff and everything. He should have had the same chassis that JGR's Xfinity teams was and everything, but they were not doing him that way with his because he was Kyle Busch and he was already started with the truck team and it had already made it a winner, you know. So there we finally get to see the discrepancies that actually led up to the fact of the way that Front Row Motorsports was bound to just get out because it cost so much. And that's, I think that kind of stuff right there with the 54 and the Busch series at that time was what led to the demise of Kyle wanting to run his own Xfinity team.
Go ahead, Ashton.
All right, now my as far as early KBM days and Xfinity days, my take is like yours, Chad. I mean, he didn't have the inferior equipment as far as the early days, the Xfinity days of KBM, and he didn't really do all that well. But as far as trucks and all, he did pretty well. I will say this, considering the equipment he had in the trucks, but Xfinity, he did. I guess because he didn't have that technical alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing and all. And speaking of KBM, I got that right there the other day, custom made.
Oh, you
Ryan
son
Eckler.
of a bitch. You son of a bitch. I want that shit.
Oh, I got more Holy Grail cars now than I've ever thought of having, including right over here, the both sweep sets now.
Oh, come on, dude. I gave up on the 2010 sweep set. I can't find that shit anywhere.
Oh, yeah? Where do you see this one? Indiana Jones and both Homestead wins and the fantasy scheme?
I do have
Indiana Jones.
I do have the Indiana Jones and both championships, but not that fantasy M&M's car. That's the only one I don't have.
Oh, dude, I had a hard time trying to find that one for years. I really like that particular scheme, but getting back on subject, I have to be honest with you, he did really good. I mean, considering the fact that the big highlight for as far as Xfinity career is concerned is the 09 championship with Joe Gibbs. To me, that's really, in my personal light, before he started getting really, the antsiness got really kicked up. I would personally say that's when we started seeing the forecoming of the Kyle we know today. Yes, he still had that attitude where he smashed that guitar at Nashville, which to me, that was really cool. At first, I didn't care for it, but looking back, you got to think, though, it's one of the big highlights that sticks in your head, regardless of if you like it or don't like it.
And you think,
But
too, that it could be one of those turning points because of the way the artist Sam Bass said something about how he destroyed that one-of-a-kind piece of artwork. I think that was one of the things that got him to where he was on the turning page of the change in his mentality and the way that he spoke to people and the way that he acted outside of the car. Of course, he had probably another 10 different changes throughout the years after that, but I think that was one of the turning points because of the way that one artist who is a legend in his own right, Mr. Sam Bass, said.
yes.
When
Yes, and I have to agree with you 1,000%, Chad. And go ahead, Dalton.
Well, so the Xfinity and the Truck Series days in the early days were really fun. Lots and lots of wins, especially in the Xfinity and Nationwide Series. But really, as a Kyle Busch fan, I got excited for the Xfinity wins and the truck wins, but Sundays were the ones that always mattered the most. I would always celebrate a Xfinity win, of course, but it'd be like, oh yeah, cool, we got it. Okay, now let's go get Cup. That's more important to me. So yeah, 2009, that full-time season was lots of fun. That Nashville win was definitely memorable. I even made a damn T-shirt out of that. What's up?
And speaking of, that happened to be my birthday weekend.
Oh, was it?
That hit. Yes. Matter of fact, I saw chiming in on, a little bit, make a long story short, I saw the article that NASCAR and NBC put out that they were going to return to Nashville Super Speedway, but they didn't specify the date yet. And when I kept watching out for the date, and that date was on the weekend of the 18th. My birthday's on June 17th.
Yeah.
But from the 18th through the 20th is when they had the the races and qualifying and all. Well, I'm the only one in my section. I was there for that. I didn't wear my suit at that time. Wait for the Sunday race to do that. But everybody was. There's these group of Chase Elliott fans that had that thing of Chase Elliott where it's saying F Kyle Busch, with the middle finger like this.
Yeah.
That and the only time they were chanting the Atlanta Braves chant F Kyle Busch. Now I kept snickering. at those guys.
No pun intended.
But here's the thing though. Oh, you got that right.
No pun intended.
You got that right. But getting back on the ordeal, I remember him having a big lead, and all of a sudden the caution comes out, and I think it was a green-white checkered, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Well, I just remember out of nowhere, okay, please get this restart, because all guys were starting to catch up to him at that point. And all of a sudden they take off. I'm like, come on, Kyle. And his lead starts increasing. And I said, we got to get to the white flag. My pops was right there next to me. He's like, Ashton, just shut up. And he's like, we got to get the white flag. And they take the white flag. And all of a sudden there's a crash in turn one at the end of the tail of the field. And I'm like, I'm watching for the fence because I'm right in front of a caution light where see it flashing. All of a sudden I'm like, I see Kyle still coming in turn three. I'm like, there's no racing. I'm like, come on, Kyle. 1 car length, 2 car lengths. Come on, get your checker flag and 100th win. And I screamed up to the point where my voice cracked. And that never happens.
That one was nerve-wracking, dude. Because I knew Justin Allgaier had a better car than he did.
And I had a friend of mine that's also a fellow Kyle Busch fan. Now, you know how people will have an Instagram of their cats and all, like I do with mine with Sunshine and Cookie.
Yeah.
Well, there's an Instagram of a cat that I follow named Rowdy Busch the cat.
What?
I don't know the. Yeah, I'll send you a screenshot of it, Dalton.
Okay.
But she named her oldest cat this cat lady that has a bunch of cats. She named her oldest one Rowdy. Rowdy Busch the cat.
Yes.
Yeah, and we talk during race days, we will talk all day long. Like, you watching? They're like, yeah, I'm watching. And we're like, whoa, what a wreck or something, something like that. I remember being there, and all of a sudden, she's blowing up my phone, 100 emoji, and all these confetti emojis in a text message. And I said, he did it. He did it. And they were like, yeah, he did it. All right. I'm like, and all of a sudden, it clicked in my mind like, oh, I'm here for this milestone. Oh, my gosh.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, it just blew my mind. And because they were, a little loose, about people going down the fence while it was, being interviewed, I went down the fence and I'm clutched on this cable like this, and there's a microphone right above my head, a boom mic. And I'm like, you the goat, you the goat. Just like that. I mean, it was just the greatest feeling.
So Dalton,
I've ever.
You said you
It's
didn't
just so
count
great.
the Busch and the truck wins near as much as Cup wins, and I get it, right?
Yeah.
Money comes out on Sunday, but damn, it's got to feel cool looking back at 102 Xfinity wins, knowing that no one's ever going to touch that record.
Oh, exactly.
And not to mention, he swept that entire season in 2021 as far as Xfinity is concerned.
Yep.
Yeah, I got the 5-piece diecast to prove it on the wall.
I still got to get that.
I've got both. I've got the 5-piece diecast and the big stuff behind me as well.
But
so why don't
before all this stuff actually hit this year, if he would have quit Joe Gibbs and just went to racing his truck, he would have been the first person, I believe, ever to win the trucks, the Xfinity, and the Cup titles. But not only that, would he have done it if he would have done it and stayed affiliated with Toyota? He would have done it all with the same manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you talk about untouchables.
But he is going to do it. Like, once his Cup career is over, like, he's going to do it trucks full time with him by himself, and then when Brexton comes up.
Right, but the cool part
and potentially Lennox too if she decides to follow suit.
Wouldn't be doing the same thing, because it'll probably be in a Chevy instead of a Toyota. But that would have been real cool, because if you think about it, Toyota would have been able to brag about that part.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
You talk about the immense bragging rights comes with a foreign nameplate being the first to do that in NASCAR.
Because all three of his championships.
We're kind of losing you there, Chad.
So far as in a Toyota.
We kind of lost you there for a minute in the middle. Kind of losing you there, Chad.
It looks like he's. I think his bandwidth's lagging.
It could be.
Your house looks beautiful, Chad. Though.
Well, it is what it is. Being fresh back from Miami, so.
There you go.
It was a lot warmer.
I don't want to hear shit about it not being warm.
It's still warm here.
Man, it's fucking cold.
It's pretty warm here in Alabama too.
Like it's gonna be in the 70s like all week, and then on Saturday it immediately goes to the 40s.
Man,
and then Sunday morning here it's supposed to get down to the 20s. Here.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, Sunday morning.
That's fucked up, dude.
You poor creatures.
It's crazy.
It is.
I hear him trying to cut in. We're gonna jump forward here while he's catching up. I want y'all to kick it off because I got a piece. I'm gonna jump out for about 30 seconds. I want to know each of your top 3 favorite 18 schemes. Doesn't have to be M&M's. Any number 18 scheme.
Oh shit, this is gonna be a good one.
Oh man,
Dalton, why don't you kick it off?
All right. There's so much to root for. I'm looking at my case up here. I want to say this is not really going to be in order. I'll just get named 3. The Devilment scheme with the silver flames or the green flames. M&M's Crispy and Transformers M&Ms.
Yeah, here's my three. I mean, I've got so many different ones, like literal different ones. But I'm definitely going to have to go with the Indiana Joneses for starters. Um, Another one I like real well, looking, based off what's behind me. Definitely the 2015 championship scheme.
Right.
And obviously, because I was there to witness that win, even though it's not 18, it's still Joe Gibbs Racing, the 54 M&Ms, even though it's the core M&Ms, it's something that I was there for my birthday and got to witness in person, that particular win.
All right.
So basically that's my three. I mean, it's no particular order, Dalton, but like you, Dalton, but still, those are my main three.
Yeah. Did the Transformers
But some that's
scheme,
not. Now, I will admit this, like I do have a couple honorable mentions. I don't mean to interrupt, but I definitely love the NOS scheme from 2017, the expanding. That was a standout.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that as an honorable mention as the top three.
You give me three Kyle Busch. You give me 3 picks of Kyle Busch schemes. I want Indiana Jones number 1. I want the OG M&M's pretzel number 2 with that little orange stripe on it.
The orange diamond plates. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, and then I want that double mint one with the green flames. That one was.
Oh, those are good.
Shout out double mint one good time.
Chad, we got you back here?
Close.
Yeah,
There we go.
I think we are good, but
That's
I
a lot
actually
better.
had to come and grab mine. I love the throwback.
Oh, yes. And, talking
person.
about throwbacks, I wish they did the Ken Schrader one from like 2001 or something like that for the final throwback scheme, but the Ernie Irvin one will do, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always thought, being this is Ashton's jacket, I always thought this Snickers was probably one of the best looking ones.
Yeah.
Now, to me, as far as Snicker schemes, I love the one in Atlanta in 08, but one I really liked, seeing Kyle run in Atlanta in his 500 start, believe it or not, I think it was the Snickers Creamy. I like that one now, as far as the Snicker schemes.
But not many people's got this one.
Oh, my God.
You son of a gun!
The Prelude, that's a pretty damn cool one.
We are still undefeated Prelude to the Dream champions since 2012.
Hey, that's what matters.
Yep.
Oh,
so, I pulled the Holy Grail out myself, didn't I?
I wish M&M's would come back and sponsor Kyle.
You definitely did. Mine are now fossils compared to yours.
Yeah, but Dalton, you ain't ever seen all of this stuff, have you?
I was on the show
last
Wednesday.
Have.
Yeah, I was on the show last Wednesday, and Alex was that was his background right there.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Holy.
It is.
I can't get over. I mean, I've seen it before, but I just can't get over the fact of that. You got a bunch.
I want to learn how to build a track right there, I've always wanted to do one.
Well, speaking of Dalton,
that track right there.
Speaking of Dalton, there's a guy that does like all this hobby stuff with NASCAR. He's got an actual track built in his basement, an actual track. I think it's called Bare Hands Speedway. That's on Instagram. I follow that thing. He's like, we're in the middle of a rain delay, and we'll go back to this here shortly. But in the meantime, just enjoy the jet dryer. And it shows the jet dryer pretending to blow that stuff off, the moisture off the track, which is really cool, considering the fact that it's just a handmade racetrack. But he makes it look so real.
Yeah. I wonder how much money he spent in that thing.
There's no
probably enough.
I mean, I've had mine since 1994.
What?
Yes. So that's how long I've had mine, and some of these die casts go back to 88.
Whoa.
Yeesh.
I mean, you can just tell because when I say as old school, this is one of the very first ones that they came out with.
AJ Boyd.
I think my dad's got that one.
And look at how ugly the
One of the
front
only
end.
few drivers that would cross-reference from IndyCar to NASCAR and be successful at it.
So, I mean, with what Bayren's done, that's what I'm about to do with mine. I'm about to get a 5-foot by 10-foot table, and the entire basement. I'm going to rearrange the basement down here, and I'm going to build it up and put a true racetrack on it, and it'll be a 5-foot by 10-foot race table. And as you saw, we did it on the 36 hours. We actually had a race down here. We raced when Colton was here in the house.
It's
goals. Addictive.
That's goals.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is, and that is something like his room down there. Like cameras and stuff do not do it justice. Like you gotta go see it.
And you're over in LaGrange, may I ask, Chad?
Yes.
Grange, Georgia. Okay,
Yep.
every now and then I play floorball. I play floorball every now and then, and some of our games do go to LaGrange as far as a friendly between the Birmingham Balkans and the club of LaGrange. If I'm ever down there, down there again. I'm by myself. I'll hit you up.
Well, yeah, do that. I mean, I'll give you the address at that point and let you come over here. And just make sure that you got 911 as a medic, because I'm going to video you coming into the room so that when you decide that you're going to check it out, that if you faint, have a heart attack or something, we've got somebody here to resuscitate you.
Oh, man. I'll tell you a funny story. Oh, my God. Holy cow.
Dude.
Now, I will tell you a brief story about Kyle Busch, myself and Kyle Busch here real quick. When I was growing up, I always wanted to meet the guy. He's always have been and always, more than likely, always will be until he retires, be my all-time favorite driver. Well, the 50th running of the Snowball Derby, he was on the entry list because the Snowball Derby is a big late model race, as y'all may know.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The granddaddy of them all for super late model asphalts.
Yes. And matter of fact, he ended up winning that night. And, Colton and Chad, you know this, but Dalton, you may know, but then again, you may not know, is I always feared if I was to see him face to face, I would faint. And I came awful close. Like what it is, they'll have like a big breakfast for like former champions and all, and you have to have a VIP pass and all. Well, they also had a private meet and greet for Kyle Busch fans and all, and that he sticked around for. But as he was getting ready, he walked right by me and said, "Hey, Kyle, how you doing?" He said, Hey, man, I had one of his Nascar championship shirts on. Anyway, you know what? I like that shirt. He said, I like that shirt, kid, because I was about like 18, 19 years old at that time. He's like, I like that shirt, kid. I was like, oh, God, you speak to me. Just like that, like the biggest fanboy over there. And I'll never forget this. When he came across the line to win that race, because it was the 50th run, he ended up winning it. Pops had to cover both his ears because I'm squealing like a pig at that point. I was so ecstatic. And then when they allowed because see, you know how late model races, they'll go down, you get to go down the victory lane and all, unlike NASCAR. Well, I grabbed my stuff, and I skedaddled down there as quickly as I could. And luckily enough, I was one of the first ones down there before they shut everything down, for everybody in the seats. Well, when I did, they backed up and asked one of his crew members. I was, walking by, taking pictures of everybody. I said, "Hey, where's he going?" Because, he said, "We're going to tech area." I said, "Are fans allowed down there?" I said, there's sectioned off down in the fans area, but be quick down there if you want to get a spot, which I did. Well, Kyle had already parked his stuff, and he walked out of the bathroom, out of this porta-john. And as a person with mild autism, I always wear like a medical bracelet on my wrist in case something were to happen to me. Well, he notices it and says, "Come here a minute." And he gets his PR with it, to escort us both to a secluded area near his hauler. And he said, and he gives me a signed hero card I posted in that Rowdy Bunch group as that Dalton and I are a part of. And we talked for probably, the PR gives us, his PR gives us some time. And we talked for probably about maybe 20 or 30 minutes, just talking, like all four of us. And then I asked him, sign my hat, sign my program and all before he had to go. I asked him if he had any die casts and all in his hauler. He said, no, but if I did, I'd give you one for free. And then right as I went to get a selfie, as he literally had to go at that point, I said, before you go, can I get a selfie? He said, sure. Right as this is probably about maybe an hour and a half after the race. Pops is out behind the grandstands in the car parked, won't know what's going on. So the moment I get a selfie like this with him, phone rings, my phone crashes. I'm like, I mean mugged the far out of my grandfather. But luckily enough, I was able to finally get that elusive picture of he and I at Atlanta. And speaking of at Atlanta, you know how I wore that suit and all?
Yeah.
Yep.
I did not know this until Dalton sent me a picture. And it's a picture of Getty Images that Getty Images took of me. How ironic is that? Because this is after he had Ross Chastain triggered the big one, and they had put part of the suspension hole grill tape on a trash can behind the pit box. And I asked one of his pit crew members, are y'all gonna reuse this? They said, no, you can have it if you want. I was like, I grabbed that thing in a heartbeat, and as the green flag dropped to restart the race, I'm like, watching them go by. They snapped that shot of me. Like if I was mean mugging the camera guy. And that's what everybody thought was like, you mean mugging that camera guy. He's a thief and all. I'm like, no, I was watching the cars go by.
No,
because that's how I watch the races. Like I'm so zoned out. Like, yeah, I mean, that's how I'm so zoned out when I'm watching the races. I'm like zoned out, like just kind of in a zone out look, if you know what I mean. Just so many different stories about Kyle Busch, and where I met Kyle Busch in Atlanta and at Pensacola, Five Flag Speedway, but the one at Five Flag Speedway stands out the most. I mean, I even asked him about his interviews and stuff, which obviously, Colt, you told us we'll get to that in a minute. As far as his interviews are concerned, I asked him, how do you feel about, doing all these interviews and stuff? He said, I hate those things. That was his exact words. I hate doing those TV interviews. Because this is what I asked him. I said, Kyle, I don't mean to sound rude or nothing, but you seem a lot more down to earth than you do on TV. And he said, son, I just don't like doing those interviews, was his exact words. And you can tell they ask some of the stupidest questions, like that one at Las Vegas. He's like, I'm sure so I don't get fined. I can see where he's coming from on that, how annoyed he was.
You got to look at it this way. In the heat of the moment and the racing and everything, the first thing they do when you get out of the car is stick a camera and a mic in your face. You got to meet him an hour and a half or an hour after or an hour before, which makes a ton. I mean, at that point in time, it's just like going to a dirt track and you actually seeing some of these folks.
Yeah, just completely different atmosphere of driver, Looking forward into Kyle's career this last season, we kind of did recap 2022 as far as the highs and lows for the 18 team. But all good things must come to an end. And Kyle will be leaving JGR to head for Richard Childress Racing. what are kind of some of your guys' expectations for him in these next coming years? And then obviously Kyle isn't going to drive forever. He's not Superman. He's mortal like the rest of us. So what do you guys hope that Kyle's legacy will be when he eventually does decide to quit full-time Cup racing here in these next coming years?
Well, first and foremost, I do want to say that, with RCR coming on board, I'm definitely going to say he's going to be a bit more of a contender as far as the Daytona 500, that elusive trophy.
Yes.
He's been trying for years. I think he's going to be a great contender for that compared to all the other equipment that JGR has. But as far as, his future.
And you got like a bunch of Chevrolet drivers that you can team up with now, because in the Toyotas and the Super Speedways, you're outnumbered. Now you got a lot more Chevrolets to work with now, so that's definitely going to be an advantage.
Yes, and plus, not to mention, as far as him retiring full time from Cup racing, I can definitely see him running a few more Xfinity and truck races before he passes his torch on to Brex. Is basically what I see. But I can definitely see him winning at least 1 to 2 Daytona 500s, if not more. And then maybe about like 3 to 4 more championships at the least. That's what I see.
Yeah, Don, what you got?
I'm thinking that it's going to be hard for another championship. Granted, RCR's got pretty decent stuff, and they've got a good handle on the next-gen car. But when it comes to overall performance, Kyle can do wonders. He's just like his brother. Kurt did wonders when he was bouncing around to underfunded teams as well. I mean, there's just some things that he can bring to the table and certain things that nobody else can, which will help make a team that much better. In that same regards, when you're looking at Richard Childress Racing, you look at Dale Earnhardt. His cars were so far behind the times, but yet he could drive them with the best of anybody and get more out of his cars than anybody else. I see that as Kyle going to RCR now. He's going to do the same thing. Now, I see him on a 1 to 2 race wins per year for however long it is before he actually hangs it up. I don't see him winning 6 or 8 or 10 of them like he could have in his prime. He is getting to the backside, and there's a lot more hungry guys that are younger than him right now. And the old DW adage to it, too, the older you get, the more you shouldn't, even though you need to keep up. Your old mind and your old body says you can't do it, you got to lift. And the next thing you know, here you are, you're flying through there. And you need to not lift like all of these younger cats are. That's the difference in what Ross Chastain brings to Trackhouse, right? But his truck team will be up to par by any standard because he does not take losing for a secondary word. And I expect him to win a bunch in those, even though it's going to be for Chevrolet. Don't know if he'll ever grace us with a third RCR Xfinity ride, but it's possible. You never know what's really going to happen there. Somebody might pay enough to see him in the next year or two, but he's liable to win 1 or 2 races that he has not been able to win. And restrictor plate races, now what you would consider plate tracks, not restrictor plate, but that sort of thing. I think he is get to 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, and I do want to welcome AJ in here. You were sitting in the lobby for a minute before I popped you in. So apologize if you were sitting for too long. I didn't quite notice you there.
It's all right. I just got home, so it's all good.
You're fine. Thank you for jumping in as Chad drops his phone. So give us a little insight. We're kind of wrapping up, going to the end of Kyle's reign with JGR and more into the future of RCR and kind of what our expectations are. But kind of assuming you're a Rowdy fan, what are a couple of your favorites?
I got the shirt on today.
There you go.
Perfect. Kicking ass. Tell us a little bit about you, and then kind of some of your favorite Rowdy moments, kind of up until the end of this year.
Well, hi everyone. I'm AJ. I'm from Tampa, Florida. So I used to live about 2 hours away from Daytona International Speedway. Never went to a race there though. But when I was 8, we moved up to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we moved in like April of 2011. So do the math. I'm 19 now. Um, a couple weeks after we moved up to North Carolina, my dad and my brother were both pretty big NASCAR fans at the time. My dad was an old Darrell Waltrip fan, and my brother was a Tony Stewart fan. But they turned on the race that was on that Saturday night. It just so happened to be the inaugural Kentucky race, and I
Wow.
8-year-old me noticed that the M&M's car was winning that race, and I'm like, man, what a cool car. I grew up I grew up with a pretty special relationship with M&Ms because that's what growing up, whenever I would sit still for the Christmas card photos that my family did when I was growing up, my mom would always give me like a couple of mini M&Ms. So I 8-year-old me knew what M&Ms were. So I says, well, let's
Yeah.
hope the M&M's car wins just because I like it. And woke up the very next morning to find out that indeed Kyle Busch had won it. And so from that point on, little kid me started rooting for Kyle for that reason alone. I did eventually hear about all the tempers that Kyle had, what with Hornaday and um, Richard Childress, all that. But I still supported him. Like I got not one but two cardboard cutouts of him on the other side of the screen. I got countless Race Win 124 diecast now. Like there's a lot that I've invested into Kyle Busch's likeness because that M&M sponsorship I really feel like is a really big iconic part of NASCAR. Like I just said, the whole reason I became a Kyle Busch fan was because of M&Ms. Like I imagine that's got to be the testament of a lot of kids that were raised in NASCAR, and so as I got older, 2015 happened. I vividly remember seeing the Daytona crash from that year and like just sitting in the middle of a restaurant, just almost 12-year-old me was bawling my eyes out, cried myself to sleep that night. But then he went on to win the championship that year, and it's just like, holy crap, how did Kyle do that when he was at that point where he was in February and his wife pregnant and all that? And so that's when I really saw Kyle Busch for the talent that he is. And so from that point on, I've always been a big fan of, his I don't know if villain persona is the right word, but definitely anti-hero. And I'm really happy to see what he'll do with RCR. Really feel like JGR has treated him like a bullcrap the last couple of years. So, yeah.
Fucking A. Dalton, what you got?
So, like expectations, right, for next year?
All
right.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So,
He won the championship in 2015, went 3 years, won another championship. Well, it's been 3 years since his last championship, so trends are saying he might win next year. Just saying.
hopefully.
You
But
got a point there.
for me, Kyle just has to take a step up next year. Like he has to. Because I feel like this is going to define how the rest of his career is going to go. He's got to get back to winning about 3 to 4 races a year like he used to. I think those 8-win seasons, I think those are done. I think he's never going to have any of those again. Maybe one more, but none after that. No more round of 16 eliminations. I think Kyle's going to make sure that never happens again. Got to start competing for championships too. I just don't think there's any excuse for that. At least make it to the round of 8. If you make it to the round of 8 and you make it to championship 4, we're competing for a championship. If you don't make the championship 4, then it is what it is. Try again next year. But
I think this is something that not a lot of people really noticed about the last couple of years of Kyle's tenure with JGR. It's the way JGR treated him like crap this year, I've noticed it goes even as far back as 2019, a year where he won the championship. But a lot of people like to conveniently forget that he went 21 races winless between the first Pocono and Homestead. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. both visit victory lane 4 times each just in that span alone. So you kind of think that JGR is having some of that 4-car team syndrome, for lack of a better term, where they just tend to give the better equipment to 1 or 2 drivers, and then the rest get the experimental stuff. Which, as successful of a driver that Kyle Busch is, I can understand wanting to give him the experimental equipment, but like not for as long as they were. Like you could kind of see that they were eventually planning on ousting him, and now that a lot of stuff has come out about his situation with JGR, I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad he's leaving JGR now.
That's a good point right there.
And one thing I want to add about Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin, I might not be a fan of his, but he can wheel a car, but not like Kyle can. And that's just me and my honest opinion. But here's my thing. Denny Hamlin's been there the longest. And every time he's been into the championship 4 or even contending for a championship, he chokes. I figured he would get ousted first before Kyle for the longest time. Yeah. Turns out I was wrong.
Colton, you're muted.
Yeah.
Say FedEx pays a lot of bills, man. They pay a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, obviously, with it being a government service.
Yeah, well, I just don't know that candy money can match the mail money. I think that's a little bit.
I mean, you get the idea, though.
Right. No, exactly.
Actually, if government money surpasses candy money, then it kind of makes you wonder why FedEx is still in NASCAR when UPS left.
Yeah, and not to mention, the National Guard and the Air Force and all those sponsorships too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, UPS left, but they're nothing to do with the United States government. They are their own separate entity like FedEx.
Well, that is true, but
what they are getting for the buck and the number of wins out of Denny Hamlin and JGR is a lot more than UPS got from Robert Yates, and therefore then tailored over to Michael Waltrip Racing, and they got out of it because they were doing it a bad investment wise.
Yeah, and like Alex said, Denny's got a shit ton of money. It's not even funny. Denny's almost Oprah rich. And that's a shit ton of money. So what do we think? Because eventually Kyle is going to hang up the helmet. What are y'all hoping out of him? I know, Dalton, you said probably no more 8-win seasons. I get that. Where are we looking at as far as an overall legacy for Kyle? And what do you guys hope maybe reflects the win column at the end of his career?
Well, for me, as far as, his win column and all, I can see him matching Dale Earnhardt, if not Gordon or Johnson, one of those 3. But as far as Cup wins are concerned, now, obviously, he does have over 200 wins across all 3, but I'm talking about Cup. I mean, I'm not one of those people that'll throw that asterisk on that 200 stuff, because he got all those, rightfully and all. Fist bump to that, Dalton.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say this about, his win column, I can see him matching either Earnhardt, Gordon, or Johnson, one of the 3, if not surpassing them, but not quite enough as far as Cup wins, as far as, Pearson or Petty. But I do see him getting at least 5 to 6 championships, though, before he hangs his helmet up. And that's in Cup.
Eek.
And obviously, with all the stuff he's done, for Xfinity, Truck, and even Cup and all, I can definitely see him going. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. 1,000% he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. There's no doubt about that.
There's
Yeah.
Chad.
Yeah. For me, I would like for one Daytona 500 and one more championship. That's all I'm asking for. And I wanted to pass
Same here, Dalton, by the way.
and to pass Dale Earnhardt too, just to piss off all the senior fans.
The hell is that?
Well, I do have a couple things in mind. I don't know how much they would relate to success, but obviously you want to see Kyle get as many more wins and championships as possible. It's funny, I actually met him this past weekend at the Charlotte Roval. Joe Gibbs Racing had their fan day out in the Charlotte fan zone. And I says to Kyle, hey, I know Richard Childress said no to the 3-car in Cup, but maybe you could run the 3-car in Xfinity for a race? Because Jeffrey Earnhardt did run that car earlier this year. And I sort of had to remind Kyle of that, but he still kind of chuckled whenever I mentioned that. And then once he does retire in Cup, he's got championships in Cup and Xfinity. He doesn't have a driver's championship in Truck yet. So if he ever retires from Cup, I'm hoping he races a season in trucks. Be that first driver to get championships in all 3 series.
Hey, AJ, you just, caused a brainstorm in my mind. You know how Jeffrey Earnhardt raced at Talladega? Because Talladega is so well known as, is known as Earnhardt country and Allison country because the Allisons are part of the Alabama gang and all that and the other. Well, the thing about it, I can definitely see him, if he does do successful at the plate races and all, if not short tracks and all, I can definitely see him getting in that black 3. But then again, as what Kyle's known for is pissing off all the fans doing certain stuff. But you know what? Just like me, Dalton, and you too, AJ, and as far as we Kyle Busch fans feed off that stuff. We like, yeah, feel the love, as you probably saw before, Dalton.
That's why he does that famous bow,
Yep.
And he'll have
it's going to sound childish to say this, but live rent free in their heads. Rent free.
Could you imagine if he did do that and showed up with an exact replica of the driver's suit, the sunglasses, the hat, and grew the mustache?
The mustache.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! I could see that happening at Darlington. Believe it or not. Oh my God!
Yeah. It's already been replicated on an 8-car once or twice before.
Yeah, that was on the 8 of Earnhardt Jr. when he was with Bud. I think that was in the 07 season before they started debuting the car tomorrow. That's true.
Last year at the Texas Fall Race.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That one where Kyle had that famous laugh of
yeah.
Oh gosh, yes.
Y'all don't know how many memes I've been able to make with that clip.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just gonna let y'all roll for a minute. If y'all got anything, I mean, that was a good little couple minutes of TV right there.
Oh yes, and Colton, wanting to chime in here, change the subject up a little bit. I got a question for all you guys. What is y'all's favorite as far as media is concerned? Kyle Busch interview. What is y'all's favorite? Famous Kyle Busch versus the media moments that y'all got. Just want to add that in there, Colton.
Favorite media moments.
Yeah, like interviews, like post-race interviews, or stuff like that.
I definitely think the origin of KFB is up there.
Yeah.
How were you able to save that car? KFB.
Yep.
That one's up there. I really like. I don't know, just some of the short interviews. Like I think
No comment.
Yeah, no comment was a good one. No comment. Loudon after it.
Everything's great.
Rained last year. That one was a pretty good one. I think anywhere he's.
Hold up, wait! I got an announcement. There is no announcement.
Yeah, anything where he's really like sarcastically pissed off is definitely up at the top.
Yeah, and then of course, go ahead, Dalton.
Mine is for sure 2019 Las Vegas with the I'm just here so I can find, because really why is because him and Marshawn Lynch met before the race. They exchanged helmets, signed each other's
I remember
autographs,
that.
and then he got pissed off because the lap car like fucked his race, and then that's when he came up with I'm just here so I don't get fined. So he learned from the best. So I know that
Literally.
the KFB one is great, but I don't know if it can top that one just because of the story behind it.
Well, just like yours, Dalton, as far as the Las Vegas one is concerned, but to me, that's a tie for the top of what I'm fixing to say, is where he's saying everything's great. Looking forward to getting my race car. Because what happened the week prior, he flat out punched Logano after Logano wrecked him. And then when they asked everything between you and Logano, he said everything's great. Looking forward to getting my race car. And every question after that, everything's great. Looking forward to getting back my race car. Everything's great. Blah 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 blah. Stuff like that. But one of the more earlier ones I really like as well, that I would say, at number 3, is when he gets wrecked out when he was still with Hendrick. He gets wrecked out. I think it's in New Hampshire or something. And Martin Snyder walks up with the microphone in his hand and goes like this, and walks right in the hauler.
You could find a whole.
That's my 3.
You could find a whole reel of Kyle just being an absolute douche to Marty Smith and Marty Snyder.
Yeah,
just like Kyle shitting on Marty's stream.
I think he was a bigger deal toward Marty Snyder than he was the ESPN guy Marty
Smith. Yeah,
because Marty Smith kind of a cool cat now.
Oh, I love Marty Smith.
He is. Oh, he's funny. Now, ever since he started joining the SEC network and started doing all this stuff with the football coaches and all, he even jumped off the so-called cliff with Nick Saban, which all it is just a big dock at his house that's elevated, and jumped off with it with Tebow and all. That was funny. That's one of the many reasons why I love Marty Smith.
But I think the most humbling moment of Kyle Busch was the 3 weeks after being set down at Texas. I mean, that was exactly a completely different Kyle Busch on an interview. I mean, you're talking totally 180 degrees from KFB.
Yeah, tail between the legs, the whole 9 yards, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what Colton, Dalton, and myself were talking about earlier before you chimed in, Chad. It's just so amazing. He was bratty, rambunctious, even though he'd been reprimanded all those times, different times and all. It was that one time he did something absolutely stupid that like to cost him his career. And then he's like, sorry.
Yeah. Dalton, you chilling? AJ, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear y'all.
Okay. I was just making sure you're still here. Yeah, we got you. Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, my laptop just died midstream. I meant to tell y'all it was on low battery, but it's all right.
Damn, that's all right.
Shoot, I'm on charger cable right now. What you talking about?
Ashton coming in clutch. We actually have a Jared Bakaisa should be jumping on here. I'd imagine within about the next 10 minutes to kind of take over my reign so I can go eat dinner, because I know a lot of y'all are on at least Central or Eastern time, but it is 6:30 here, which means dinner for us.
Oh, don't feel bad. I hadn't eaten supper yet myself, so don't feel bad, Colton. But I ain't getting the case of the hangries yet.
So Jared will be hopping on here shortly to kind of take over. If anyone wants to hang out, he's going to morph it into more of just a wide open fan field, talk about whatever the hell we want if y'all want to still hang out on here. So that means you viewers as well, keep watching. Shit could get really rowdy here in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what Jared's been up to. I know he's got the handlebar mustache, like full out, full vengeance. He's been to, it seems like 1.5 million sprint car races this year. So I'm sure he's just got a ton of wild ass stories he can tell from PA Speed Weeks and whatnot.
Now, changing the subject, about Kyle Busch, but still in a racing type of ordeal. as far as video games are concerned, I don't care if it's PC or console, as far as an Xbox or PlayStation. What are y'all's top 3 racing games? And nothing that's not iRacing related, put it that way. Just console and PC games.
Mario Kart Double Dash.
I'm talking about NASCAR, bub.
Mario Kart NASCAR expansion pack.
Well, here's my
NASCAR
3.
NASCAR Links is all right.
Dirt to Daytona.
Dirt Daytona is really good. Yes, and that's my actually my 3rd pick. My 2nd pick is NASCAR Thunder 2003. I used to play that game until the disc melted. That's how much I love that particular game. And then another one I really liked is, the last game that Papyrus came out with, and that's NR 2003, which is still really popular today via sim racers too.
Yeah, that one's an all-time classic. Still, like you said, still being raced on today and updated today.
I think part of it
Matter of fact, the most recent
you can run
update that I got as far as the Papyrus, game, NR 2003, is the big update I really like about it. You got all these mods and stuff. You can race at short tracks across the United States. Matter of fact, there's one that I didn't even know exist. Even though my home track, Sayre Speedway, which is just out on the Walker-Fayette County line, where I, really close to where I live. It's maybe about 30-minute drive from where I live. But still, I did not know it was a modded track on NR 2003. And the moment I downloaded it, I raced all the cars I could race on it at that one point, because it's just a small quarter-mile track. But still, I was able to get at least 20 cars on that track. And just to race, and that normally is not the car count for one class, unless it's a big late model event. And let me tell you, that was a fun track to race on NR 2003, and still is if you want to try it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, here's one I got for you. Knowing that Kyle's got this
Hey,
stuff,
doggy.
Yeah, Tank's deciding he wants to get up here and be part of the podcast. He's going to RCR. KBM's going to Chevrolet. Brexton actually has a contract. Brexton, how long is it before he decides he doesn't want to race like Mark Martin's son, Matt? Because if you remember, Matt was supposed to be the next best thing, because he was pretty doggone good already, and he hadn't even hit the age of 12 yet. And he was already winning asphalt races. So, he's already got burnt out. He's got a girlfriend and everything else, and he's doing his own deal now. How long is it? Does Brexton actually make it all the way to NASCAR? Or does Brexton get burnt out like Matt Martin did and say, I've had enough?
No, I think
That is
I think Bryce is like very
Go ahead,
invested. Where I think Bryce is like very invested, where like he's not going to.
Well, it's hard
I'm
to say
thinking
how-
the same thing, Dalton. But then again, it could happen.
I mean, you got to remember, Matt Martin already had a Hendrick contract as well. So, I mean, you got to remember, these kids are young when they're getting these things. I mean,
Right.
and now everything is so much more diverse with social media and everything else that at some point you've got to wonder what kind of influence does that have on their racing career versus what Matt Martin did versus what all of these guys that grew up watching. I mean, look back at Michael Waltrip watching his brother Darrell run in that big age gap, It's completely different from the 70s and 80s to 90s to the zeros to the 10s and now the 2020s. I mean, there is so much that has changed. How much quicker
And lots of it,
somebody
too.
like Brexton is burn out before Matt did? Because Matt was getting closer to be 16. He was only a year or two away before he was going to get there, and he said, "Nah, I've had enough."
Yeah, that's hard to say because I mean, what is Brexton? 7, 8 years old? You know, he's not very old still, and he's already been racing for years. I mean, I think it's a very valid question. I don't think, as much as we all like to say drivers' kids are always going to be, you know, some of the best and probably end up in Cup, there's quite a bit of them I see racing now that I don't think are ever going to end up in the Cup Series. You know, not to say they may be bad, but I just think statistics are against them. You know, Cash Boyer, Owen Larson, obviously Brexton Busch,
Harvick.
Keelan. I think, honestly, of all the kids that are racing right now, Keelan, I think, is the best one, and I think the one that's most likely to make it to the Cup Series. Just because I don't,
Right.
That's what
see
I'm.
getting that burnout. You know, I see Keelan still having that drive. Whereas when I watch interviews of Brexton, granted, again, he's still only 7 years old, so it's kind of hard for him to grasp all these things and to stay focused and stuff. But he doesn't always seem near as interested in it as Keelan did at 4, 5, 6 years old. You know, I see a lot of that
Yeah.
in there too.
Now,
And I think, and even if Brexton does decide
'cause-
he don't want to race, and that's not necessarily terrible either. You know, it's just it didn't go his way, and you know, even though he might have these contracts and sponsorships and whatnot, he's still a kid. You know, and we all still gotta, you know, he's still got to grow up a little bit.
Yeah, because see, I mean, I'm like you 100%, Colton. I mean, yes, I definitely do see Keelan, you know, making it, you know, farther a lot, but you got to think on, like, you know, as far as mentorships and all, because see, Keelan only has his dad Harvick, and you know, Harvick's, you know, been a real big help with him, and so on and so forth. Brexton, however, he does have not one, not two, but 3 really good role models that he can fall back on as far as the generational aspect is concerned. You see, Kyle and Kurt's dad was one of the head mechanics when they were in late model racing in the Las Vegas area.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see Brexton, but at the same time, I can see him getting burned out at the same time. It's just really just, to me, in my honest opinion, is a game of wait and see.
Now, here's you another good thing. If Brexton is the one that stays the course, is it because Kurt's already retired and he does the same thing that Donnie Allison did for Davey Allison? And that was his mentor, and that's the one that helped him through everything while Dad's still doing everything with KBM and RCR. If that's the scenario, I believe Brexton goes a lot further.
I mean, it could
point.
be because
that is good philosophy.
Yeah, because Kurt loves Brexton. I mean, I see him a lot on pit road, like during pre-race, just having fun with him and you know, being a great uncle. So I feel like he could definitely step in there too. Oh, and also, like, if you watch Kyle's YouTube videos of, you know, the at track life with Brexton, Kurt's always there. He's always there, helping, coaching him and helping him get himself prepared. Same thing as Kyle's dad too, Tom. So he not only does he have Kurt, but he's got like a lot of family members that can step in and help.
Yeah, and you know Kurt's got his own race shop and everything else too that most people don't know about.
I actually don't know. What?
Yeah, Kurt's actually got his own race shop where he works on race cars and personal cars and everything else. So I can see that he's got the room to expand and help Brexton straight up, just like Donnie did with Davey Allison. You know, they had 2 different shops, and Donnie would always help because it was in his shop. He moved all of that stuff away from Bobby for a little while.
I actually do remember now. Like, I was watching that Kurt Busch documentary that Speed did, like back in 2011, like the Outlaw documentary. I remember his shop in that episode. I forgot about that.
And there's another series. I can't remember exactly what it was. I know it was on History, but I can't remember if it was American Restoration, Counting Cars, or was it American Pickers? I want to say it was American Pickers. And they were inside that shop getting something from him. So I really don't remember which one. I know it was on History that they showcased that particular shop, along with Ryan Newman's in that same episode too.
Nuts.
Speaking of documentaries, I'm assuming everybody in here has seen Rowdy from earlier this year.
Yep.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
I was about to ask, what was y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have not seen it. Dalton, you said you did? And
I did.
Yeah, I have too. And here's my thought, starting off with one thing I absolutely did not know, from when Kyle was in with Hendrick, is that he and Ricky Hendrick, which was Rick Hendrick's son that got killed in that plane crash. Little did I know that he loved Ricky like if he was like a second brother to him. And when he got killed, it took a lot out of him. And it just really became the downfall of where he was at Hendrick, basically. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that was a part of that documentary that kind of fascinated me, just how good of a relationship that Kyle had with Ricky Hendrick. And so I imagine that tragedy with Hendrick Motorsports back in 2004 probably hurt Kyle in ways that it didn't really hurt other people within the racing world. And so, you'd have to imagine that once that happened, his relationship with himself and Mr. H probably got strained, and Kyle was eventually kicked out in favor of Dale Jr. and Mears and all them.
Yeah, and you especially think of how young Kyle was at that time too, when Ricky passed. You're talking about 2004, so Kyle would have been 19 years old in the fall of 2004. Being that young and losing a friend like that, I couldn't imagine the effect it had on a career of which you're already in a massive spotlight at such a young age too, with the peak in NASCAR, millions of people watching every week. So kind of stuff like that, you never really quite think about how it affects everyone, not just inside the immediate family of them.
Yeah, so that Rowdy documentary was very fascinating to me. I had no idea about the relationship with Ricky Hendrick either. I didn't know it was like that tight. But really, the one I remember from that documentary was just the funny moments and the untold stories about the feuds that he got in, the 2007 All-Star race, with the Kurt Busch incident. Little did I know too that was basically Rick Hendrick's breaking point of Kyle, staying with the team. They're like, okay, no more. And another fun fact that most of you might not know. So Kyle actually was, so he wrecked out and he was in the hauler, changed his clothes. He's all pissed off. And he's watching Kurt's interview with Speed with Dick Berger and right after the wreck. And Kurt had that quote where he said, I'm not going to be eating Kellogg's anytime soon. And then Kyle said, you son of a bitch. So he was actually running to Kurt Busch to kick his ass. He was actually going to kick his brother's ass. And his PR guy had to literally put him on the ground, hold him down there. It was that bad. And then he told another story about the 2011 Kevin Harvick incident at Darlington, where so they were in that wreck with I think it was 3 to go or something like that. And yeah. And then Harvick, Kyle lied and said he blew a tire, but we all knew that was bullshit. And after the race was over, he was trying to get away from Harvick because Harvick wanted to kick his ass, of course, but Kyle's trying to get away. And he wanted to back up, but he had no reverse. The reverse completely went out of his car, so he couldn't back up. So he had to turn around. And then Harvick parked right next to him on pit road. And again, Kyle can't back up. So he said, plan B, I'm going to turn his shit when he gets out of the car. And then that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, I remember watching that live. That shit was nuts. When Harvick got out, tried to stomp into Kyle's car, and then, Kyle really just stood on it and dumped Harvick's car to the pit wall.
Yeah.
Yep. And, another thing, that surprised me, off subject, but on the same incident, is that after all these years, I remember seeing this on the Dale Jr. podcast, the Dale Jr. Download. When he was interviewing Richard Childress about the Kyle Busch incident at Darlington, and then whatever happened at Kansas that resulted, the punch to the face, Richard punching Kyle in the face. Richard said since that day he punched Kyle in the face, they have not contacted one another since then. When the interview was, of course, taped, recorded. Well, then next thing you know, after watching that episode, maybe about a few months later, he signs with Richard Childress. I'm like, what? I was like, and then I'm thinking, talk about mending fences. But little did all of us know at that time that Austin Dillon had a lot to do with that. So we got to, as us Kyle Busch fans, we got to thank Austin Dillon for at least helping Kyle, furnish a ride for him this upcoming season.
Yeah, let me just say this.
If you think about it.
Go ahead.
No, what's up, AJ?
No, I said if you think about it.
Yeah. Let me just say this. Austin Dillon has entered my top 5 favorite drivers. It's funny. He used to be one of my least favorite drivers because he would go out there and win every single Xfinity race known to man in his couple each days. But I met him in person a couple times, and he was actually a really nice guy. He complimented me on my cross necklace that I wear all the time. But then I heard that Austin was the one who had talked to his grandpa and said, hey, let's go get Kyle Busch, see if we can hire him. And I earned a lot of respect for Austin Dillon when I saw that, because he might not be the best driver in the world, but he sure as hell is a great person.
Oh, that's facts, dude.
Yeah, and same thing with Ty. Ty is really great. You see, when I met Ty at Atlanta, NASCAR, due to the rain that hit Atlanta at that time, Colton, you were there. When the rain hit, NASCAR done shut down the Cup garage for the entire day, and they were asking everybody to leave. And I accidentally brushed, trying to weave through the crowd. I accidentally brushed Ty. I said, "Oh, sorry, sir, Ty. Oh my gosh, I didn't mean to brush you." And he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "No worries, buddy." And we talked for a little bit, and and I told him, how you watched him go through the ranks just like his brother did, and I said, and this was my exact words to him: "You gotta get in better equipment eventually, because you got potential." And he lowered his head and said, "Well, thank you. I wish I was in better equipment than this." His exact words were, "This shit here at Petty," was his exact words.
Whoa.
Yeah. I didn't snitch on him about that, but that's what his exact words. He was frustrated at Petty, and you can tell it too.
Man,
that's insane. And I guess that just kind of shows, because I thought the Dillon family was just a bunch of rich kids and shit like that. But seeing all these stories, it seems like they're really cool ass people. I've met Austin Dillon a couple times too, and he's a hell of a guy. I've had no issues with him personally. I also did sit next to him in a truck race twice at Bristol, I think in 2012 and 2013. This back when Ty was driving a 3 truck.
And didn't Austin spot for Ty those races when he was in the truck and Xfinity race?
It sounded like it looked like he did because he was wearing the scanner. So this back when the truck series at Bristol every Wednesday night, and this is when the turns one, you could sit anywhere, and you could sit in turns 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. You can't sit there anymore. You only have to sit in the straightaways. But me and Dad would always sit in the middle of turns 3 and 4 because that's just the best spot. And at the truck race in Bristol, you can sit wherever the hell you want. And Austin would always be there in the middle of turn 3 and 4, spotting for Ty when he drove in the truck series. And I got a picture with Austin Dillon in the 2012 one, and then I said hi to him the very next year, but I just kind of left him alone. And there was one point in the in the 2013 truck race where Kyle and Ty actually got into each other a little bit, and I creepily turned around to Austin just see what his reaction was. I wasn't gonna talk shit or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to see what he was gonna say, but he looked kind of shocked or a little bit pissed off or whatever. But yeah, Austin Dillon such a good dude, and I have gained a lot of respect for him as well. I don't know how his racing career is going to work out, but it sounds like to me he could definitely have a really good job at maybe office work in RCR, and recruiting drivers and stuff like that. But I mean, we'll see where it goes. But yep, hats off to Austin Dillon. Like he's the reason why we that contract uncertainty suffering ended. So big hats off to him.
What do you think the likelihood is in the next 5 years that Austin steps away from racing?
Very likely.
Depend heavily on how good or bad he does. If he gets a couple wins next year, I don't think he steps away anytime soon, because he's still like 30, 31, something like that.
Yeah,
he's in his prime, but I don't expect him to be that far along. I can see him stepping away, like Dalton said, do office work, like Dalton said, and I can definitely see Ty taking his place eventually.
See, Ty's the one that
I don't think Ty
do
goes
the
back
office
to
work.
RCR.
Yeah, because a lot of people think because Jermaine, y'all remember Jermaine Racing where Casey Mears drove that 13 guy go? Yeah, that's Richard Childress affiliate. That's like Richard Childress' satellite team. So Casey Mears, for those that don't know, so Jermaine Racing started as like an actual like starting park team with Max Pappas back in 2009. And they put Casey Mears in there the very next year. He took that team from a starting park team to a top 20 contender each week. And in 2017, they literally out of nowhere fired Casey Mears to put Ty Dillon in, and he ran a lot worse.
Yeah.
And they still let him go after that. So.
Yeah. The one thing you see about Austin is if he can get you Kyle Busch, what kind of man is he actually stepping up to be? Because he's the one that's going to take and run the team for Richard, not his dad, Mike. His Mike will probably stay doing what he is, and then Ty will take over what his dad is doing at some point, and those two will run the whole team together. But I do not see Ty going back to RCR because he wants to make his own way and do stuff differently. And he said that from a long time. And I've actually had the pleasure of watching him and Austin on dirt. And I'll tell you, Ty was a lot better dirt driver than Austin. I mean, I've got to see them both win in person. But I just think the mindset for Austin is looking toward the future and how can he build the team to be stronger later down the road for him. And thus the reason he got Kyle. And I mean, Kyle is one that, like I said earlier, he can take and do stuff with cars that are beyond what most people can do with the same exact equipment. So give him something that's really, really good, because I hate to say it, but RCR's had great cars all year long and they've had speed. So many times they were ahead of JGR on most weekends. You put Kyle in that thing and all of a sudden it's a top 5 ride every week. Austin looks good for making that submission right there, right?
Well, and I think we all overlook who Kyle's brother is and what Kurt has done for all the teams he's went to. Every team that Kurt has entered or has left, he has left it better than he found it. And we see that, I mean, with every organization he's been with. So now,
with the exception of Phoenix Racing, though, because Phoenix Racing kind of went downhill after that.
He finished third at Sonoma with like a broken suspension or something. So even then,
Kurt,
that is true. I forgot about that.
Kurt made Phoenix Racing a top 15 car every week when it used to be a top 30.
Dude, I miss Phoenix Racing.
Yeah. I mean, but we look at the position that Kyle's in now, and I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to tell me that Kurt's not sharing the information he knows about all his teams that he's been with and telling Kyle, here's what you need to look out for to improve a team or to kind of get the guys together. I mean, Kurt's probably flaking off a lot of info on Kyle to where we're going to see Kyle really improve RCR quite a bit and kind of bring them back into relevance, hopefully. So not only is Austin a great driver, but this great mentor as far as kind of turning the team around.
Well, yeah, because if you think about the 18%. Go ahead, Chad.
Is it now that we see the true Kyle Busch and what a wheel man he really is, because he is basically getting in what everybody else thinks is subpar equipment to JGR, when now we get to see him shine as a wheel man himself, not the cars that he was in? You might see a completely different scenario this 2023, and he may reel off 4 or 5 wins. I don't think he's going to be that much, but still, he is going to put that car in situations to where he is a contender to win all the time.
The other
gotta
thing
get back to that
remember,
this
though,
year.
is that's an 8 car
Yeah,
that Kyle Reddick took to 3 wins.
Yeah, exactly. And like Colton and Dalton both were saying, about Phoenix Racing and how Kurt kind of basically turned everything around. Here's the thing you might want, I want to touch base on before Chad started talking, is that if you think about it, when Bobby Labonte decided to full on, go part time, and JJ Yeley took over the 18, that whole entire organization basically dropped like a rock, even with Tony Stewart in there. And I'm talking about a prime Tony Stewart. And then Kyle Busch comes along, and Tony Stewart's kind of waning down and starting his own organization. But still, think what he did to help put JGR back on the map. I mean, something you got to think about, along with what Kurt did, with all the other organizations as well.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to go back to the Austin Dillon thing real quick. I read a really cool article about Kyle Busch's last race with M&M's Jogas Racing last Sunday. They released this too, and this is going to be pretty interesting. This is probably a good talking point right here about future sponsors predictions. I want to ask about that. But we'll read this. So starts off that Busch will now start anew in the number 8 Chevrolet Rich Choice Racing, though his official start date won't be until January because of contract. It won't expire until New Year's Eve this year. That will tie him up through December at the NASCAR awards ceremony. Busch said he has already started a little bit at RCR, including some visits to the team shop. He has also been texting with his future teammate Austin Dillon about simulator work and hunting licenses. That's right, hunting licenses. So possibly a Realtree sponsorship. And he also said that he dropped a supervisive RCR sponsor reference when he asked about how he'd be reflecting during the plane ride back to North Carolina. He said, maybe I'll take some 3 cheese since the season's over and not think about it on the way home.
Well, when you get hunting license, you also get Bass Pro Shops on your car, right? Hunting and fishing.
Yes.
You possibly get the Realtree
That would be
stuff.
something. Yeah, that's something I can see. And another thing I really can see, even though it's just from a throwback perspective, and I guess from the M&M's mindset and all. But if you think about it, as far as a candy point standpoint, I mean, I'm not saying it's just, they're coming back or anything, but it would be kind of interesting to see and ironic to see with Mars, being, the primary ones for many years. Think about this. Harvick did race a Hershey's thing car a few times or in Reese's, which is a co-parent of the Hershey Reese company. So I'm thinking, as far as a more ironic and throwback standpoint, I can see, Hershey trying to make a comeback, but also at the same time, with what you just read to us, Dalton, I can definitely see, Bass Pro Shops and Realtree because they're already a mainstay at RCR.
Yeah. And let me ask you guys this too. Okay, so what it sounds like to me is all the RCR sponsors that were with Reddick are going to stay with Kyle, or most of them. Sounds like 3 Chicas could stay. A lot of talk about Cheddars as well. Realtree, which is usually like 1 race a year, the Talladega Fall race. If one sponsor is going to follow Tyler Reddick to 2311, what's it going to be?
Ooh. I definitely can see Cheddars.
Yeah, I think Cheddar's is the best chance of moving.
I feel like
See, if you think about it,
I feel like Cheddar's more of an RCR sponsor than Tyler Reddick sponsor.
Well, you also gotta
another
think
thing,
about
if you
where
think
Reddick's-
about it, though, another thing you got to think about, though, both 2311 cars are primarily like food cars with McDonald's, Monster Energy, in general. So that's what I'm thinking. But who knows?
Yeah, I was just about to touch on 2311. Like, you got a guy by the name of Michael Jordan co-owning that team. Like, it really feels like he and Denny Hamlin have been really good at finding big name sponsors. They brought back Dr. Pepper, they got McDonald's, and they got like Air Jordan brand, even though that's Michael Jordan's brand, but Wheaties for one race. All these big name sponsors that they got for Bubba Wallace and Kurt Busch. And I can't imagine that the same wouldn't be true, even though Tyler Reddick is about to replace Kurt.
Now, to answer my own question, I feel like Guaranteed Rate would make the most sense of following him because I think he's got like a personal sponsorship with Guaranteed Rate. I remember he was on Door Bumper Clear and he was talking about how Guaranteed Rate does a lot of cool stuff with like a bowling and a lot of sports that are not really that popular, or a lot of stuff that aren't popular because they like to reach out. They like to be everywhere they possibly can. They like to spend their money. So I could definitely see that too. But for Reddick, I could see like Moneyline as well, like Moneyline being the main one.
Shall I also bring up the sponsorship elephant in the room for Kyle?
What's up?
The interaction he's had with a certain company in recent weeks on Twitter.
I was going to touch on that. Yeah. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Here's what I'm going to say. If you are a company, like, you do not donate $8,888 to your Bundle of Joy Foundation and not sponsor him. There's no way in hell that they're not going to get a deal done.
Either all in or nothing,
Yep.
Yeah, because I think that's more of a teaser than anything, if you ask me.
Yeah, I feel like Kyle's like got him right where they want him now because like he said, like, if you don't sling me a sponsorship, there's gonna be some problems, and that kind of like made them want to do this, and then they just once, like I said, just donated a lot of money, like a shit ton of money, to their Bundle of Joy fund. So you can tell that they're very serious about this.
Yeah, I can definitely see, like I said, it's definitely a teaser, but it's not confirmed though, as y'all know.
Yeah. But then Rob going out and finding other people. I mean, and that's what Adam Sturt said, like right when Kyle signed. He said that the RCR sponsors are willing to look at him, but also they're outside looking for other companies. So they're definitely going to do that too. And the more sponsors, the better. That don't hurt nothing.
Yeah, you never have too much money. Well, I think those are all, damn good ideas. When you mentioned Guaranteed Rate, things like that. I would like to see Kyle bring a couple new sponsors in as well, like y'all just went over there. I want to see a complete off-the-wall sponsor come in the next couple of years. Maybe it's for Kyle, maybe it's not, but I want to see a complete, just like random sponsor come in. Like, I want to see fucking Walmart like sponsor a car. Maybe not that big of a company, but a company we've never seen that isn't a new tech company, I think would be kick off. I think Kyle's got just enough pride to be able to pull something like that off.
Well, how many of these things that are going to be like the Toyota kind of camp stuff, to where they're going to for the truck team and then sponsor something, or by him in a cup ride and take over 5 or 6 trucks for him?
I'm going to be honest, you were cutting out a little bit in the mid there.
It kind of sounds like aliens are taking over.
Sounds like you're talking underwater on them Discovery shows in a way.
All I hear
being honest, it sounded better when he had his headset on, to be honest. Just looking at it from a tech standpoint.
I feel like that's AJ's mic or something.
Yeah, that one is AJ. So I just...
Okay. I knew it was something.
Yeah, it was AJ. Yeah, he was trying to talk.
Yeah, it was AJ.
Cut out.
My bad. I was gonna say I
AJ,
can hear it on my
We're
end.
good. We got
too.
you back, Chad.
All right, we
AJ,
got you
there?
now.
All right. I
Um,
don't know what happened
well,
there,
technical
but my bad.
difficulties aside, I think this is a damn good episode. I do not see a sign of Jared yet. I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes here. But if he doesn't, I'm just going to go ahead and chop it off because I do got to go eat some fucking food.
Yeah.
I am starving Marvin over here.
Tell me about it.
But, I
Ain't
mean,
nothing wrong with some Oreos.
There
yeah,
you
is
go.
that what you're eating, Chad? Some damn Oreos?
Yep.
Oh,
Double
that
stuff.
would be perfect. I mean, honestly, I just had another brainstorm. You know how, that even though it's still, it was a DEI sponsor in the Xfinity series, for some reason, I could see Kyle, with all the cut candy, deal he did with M&Ms. I could see Nabisco coming back on board.
I
I
wouldn't
see
mind
you
that.
now, Jared.
What's up?
Long
I
time
didn't
no
see the little
see.
scroll bar. Yeah, how's it been going?
Oh, it's been going. How you guys been?
Oh, not
You
too
like the
bad.
last name?
Did you,
Hell yeah. Are you
wait.
digging the stash?
Thanks. It's Movember. I thought I'd mix it up for the winter.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
No, Dave, November.
Fu Manchu all summer, so I figured we'll mix it up. We'll go to the Movember look for a while.
You look like you make ropes and tool belts for a living.
Yeah, I look like whenever I wear sunglasses, I look like one of those like old dudes on Facebook that always gets into arguments with people.
Oh yeah. Like you look like
I'm gonna
You
start
look
a
like-
political war on Facebook.
you look like the 8th place
You know what?
sauerkraut contestant.
You know what? If you get you some gargoyles and a Dale Earnhardt costume, you would make a perfect Dale Earnhardt right now. Like literally.
Shoot, he looks
go.
like a bad Bruce Lee actor.
I don't have my
You're like Kenny
Culties anywhere.
Powers stunt doubles.
But that's the closest pair of sunglasses I got.
Hell yeah. No Colties?
Well,
Not with me. They're in the truck.
Damn.
Damn. L.
Sorry, Dalton.
L.
What did I miss? What's going on, everyone?
Well, we recapped Kyle
a
Busch.
lot of good conversations. That's
Yeah,
putting
a
it
lot of
mildly.
moments, whatnot. Look forward to RCR in the future. Basically, you're just going to jump in and give us your take on everything, and then just continue a conversation for as long as you want.
Nice. I got about a good half hour left, and we can get some stuff in. Where do you want? Oh, that was my dog. Where am I starting off this conversation, or what? How's this working?
Kick it out. Give us your Kyle Busch take. What's 2022 been like for Kyle Busch?
Pain.
Well, yeah, no shit.
Pain. I kind of gave up on the season after the Bristol night race. After that whole fiasco happened.
Same.
Like I literally I don't think I watched. I went to the Talladega race, but I didn't watch any other races after that.
Let me see here. How many sprint car races did you end up making it to this year?
Let me count. I have a whole list on my phone of how many I went to. I think I'd like to say it's in the 20s.
And while y'all are doing that, y'all take this as far as you would like or need to. Y'all feel free to hop off at any time. But I am going to hop off and pass it on to Jared, kind of unofficially baton.
You're throwing me on. You're throwing me on the spot. I just hop on and
I am starving Marvin. I'm gonna go grab some cold pizza from the fridge because I have not eaten since like 11 a.m.
Well, y'all have fun, fellas.
Thanks,
out
good
for
seeing
the time.
you, Colt.
Oh, see you,
We'll
Chad.
see you guys.
See y'all.
And we appreciate you for your time.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you, Chad.
See you, Dalton, Jared, Ashton. Be safe. Don't get too much fun playing with your hockey and all that good stuff and announcing now.
All right.
Although
Okay.
I would like for you to go live one day while you're doing the announcing, just so we can see you in action.
Well, there is a live stream. Now, I can't really technically be on camera and doing that, at the same time. But there is a live stream called Black Dog Hockey. You can listen to me, as I'm doing my stuff. But I can't record myself due to copyright issues.
Well,
just so y'all know.
you need to post up, say, hey, I'm about to go live on this, and post it on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, so that we can hit that link and listen to you.
Yeah, usually I would put that on both my Instagram and Facebook stories, but I'll definitely remember that from here on out, and I'll make sure to tag you, Chad.
That'll work. I will be glad.
Now,
to
it won't
listen.
be now with all the stuff I've been dealing with my grandfather lately and his health and all. It probably won't be until we only got like maybe 2 games left of this semester, and then we kick back off in the second half in January. So,
all right, we'll be keeping.
But other than that, might as well just have a little fun in the crowd at the Bulls games, the Birmingham Bulls games. Put it that way. We're hockey.
True. And Jared, I just got to say, you suck for being able to go to all them PH Speed Week stuff, man, because we in the South can't get there.
Yeah, I'm kind of spoiled up here.
Yeah.
But then again, we do have a 53,000 win super late model race about 40 minutes from my house this weekend.
There you go.
Y'all can catch racing this weekend. It's a 20,000 win Friday night, 53,000 win on Saturday night.
Nice.
Isn't that race at Chris Motorsports Park?
No, this is at Sonoa. It's the Castrol Flow Racing Series.
Oh, all right.
And I mean, you're talking about the big boys of dirt. If they're not in Vegas, they're going to be at Sonoa because there's 2 big races going on this weekend.
Interesting.
Hook it up on Flow and watch it. You're liable to see me there, and we'll try to be as bright as I can be. Fluorescent yellow shirt or fluorescent orange, something.
There you go.
Something like that.
Yep. Liable to see me if they got a camera around some of the haulers and stuff from where I put some of the mats in those haulers and everything, working with some of the drivers.
Nice.
Other than that, y'all have a great evening, and if I can get back on here in a little while without falling asleep, I sure will.
Yeah, I've got to leave here shortly myself. I'm like Cole. I ain't eaten anything since about 2 this afternoon. I'm starting to get the hangries, and you wouldn't like me when I'm hangry.
Snickers satisfies, motherfucker.
Eat a Snickers.
I wish I had some in the fridge right about now. At this point.
Oh. Okay, there's AJ. I hear him now.
Yeah, I just haven't been talking much because I keep hearing this static stuff.
I thought it was your mic.
It is.
I thought it was your mic fucking up at first, but I got you now. All right.
Yeah, I got you now. I'm really thinking that was Chad doing that, to be honest.
Yeah,
Probably.
It's got to be.
I think it was all those Oreos that he was eating. It was probably crinkling up the.
Well, Colt said he ripped
plus
his part when he left the stream, so it might have been him, I think.
Well, plus not to mention, he did have his headset. It sounded fine when he had his headset on, so I don't know what the issue was.
Yeah, he must have been all staticky once he turned. What am I trying to say? Took it off.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to go ahead and leave y'all at it. It's good talking to all y'all, and y'all be safe during the off season.
All right, you too, Chad. Hey, happy holidays, brother.
And to all y'all, Chad, Colton, that's all I want to wish y'all a Merry Christmas and a Happy Thanksgiving in advance and a Happy New Year.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Godspeed,
all right, thank y'all. Y'all have a good one. Good seeing you all. Bye-bye.
See you, man.
Right.
Nice.
And then number three for Dale.
Yeah. This is weird. I wasn't really prepared for all that. I thought I was going to get interviewed or something, but so am I leading this now, or what's?
I guess.
I think that's what Colton said, right?
I guess so. I guess I'm getting thrown onto the spot here. I have no. I don't even know what you guys even talked about, so I don't really think I don't know what questions to ask or.
Yeah, I got to drop my dog off to my mom's house in about like half an hour too, because she's going to vet tomorrow to get her rabies shots.
So we got about 20 minutes or so, half an hour to.
Yeah. Well, first of all, where the fuck have you been, bro? I barely see you.
Work.
Prison work. I saw you gave up on NASCAR entirely for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I really did. The Bristol race really hurt me. I honestly have never been I've been upset at races, but I don't think I've ever been like that upset at a race.
Same, dude.
Like that was painful, dude. Like usually at least I have some high spirits, but I literally just sat there the whole rest of the race. I was like, wow, this sucks.
And you didn't miss much after that. Like, dude, so Kyle wrecked at Texas the very next week after he had a fast car. Like, early in the race, he was running top 5, and he got loose and backed into the wall. It got to the point, like, it's been so bad this season that I just didn't give a fuck in that moment. Like, when I saw him wreck into the wall, I just sat there like,
yeah,
okay, cool.
I just decided to give up because I know I'm like, what's the point of me being upset after a race when, like, I went to the Talladega race and Chase Elliott won, so that was just a fact. Like, that was more of just a punch right in the balls. I'm like, well,
fuck.
Drove 14 hours just to see a Chase Elliott win. Like, wow, what a. Okay, that's painful.
Joke's on y'all. I was at work the day of that Texas race, so I had very little craps to give about that.
Dude, it was a fucking shit show. It was so bad.
Who even won that race? I literally don't. I have not.
Reddick did.
Yeah, it was as frisky Nixon would call it. It was the classic leader jinx special.
Yeah, every time you were the leader of the race, it would take you 35 laps to blow a tire. It happened like what, 4 times?
So was that
like
Harvick,
Truex, Chase, like pretty
was
much
it like
everybody
a
that was leading.
2008 Brickyard type of race? Is that
worse?
Wow.
Well, Bristol was like that too, but
yeah, not as bad though.
How was the rest of the season? Like, I don't even know what races were even run after Bristol and Talladega. Like I said, I literally have not kept up or even tried to make
That's fucking amazing. Like I still sat and suffered. Like you just like quit. But I mean, I don't blame you. I'm not bitching for it.
I kind of cheated with my algorithm. Like, I literally don't get as much NASCAR stuff from like as I used to. Like, I'll get like your guys' stuff like here and there, but like I honestly didn't. I haven't kept up at all. Like I saw the Ross Chastain thing just off of. Obviously, everyone saw that on Twitter, and then.
Oh yeah, that shit went viral. So.
But yeah, and then I saw Logano won the championship, so I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Well,
22 and 22.
Fuck. Well, Bowman suffered a concussion at Texas. Don't know if you saw that. Cole Custer got a bullshit penalty for, I guess, manipulating
the outcome.
Yeah. And they appealed it, still lost. And Tony Stewart is just as pissed as you are. He said, I'm so mad at NASCAR right now. Like, if I didn't have, like, fan appearances that I had to attend, I wouldn't even show up to a race for the rest of the year. And then Homestead, Larson just fucking dominated flat out. But I'm sure you saw the Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson fight at Vegas.
Oh, I did see that. So did you see
yeah.
You see the shirt that I got?
Fuck yes, I did.
What's the shirt that he got?
Oh, AJ, you're not ready. You're not ready.
I don't think I am. Whoa.
Oh, wait. Can you see it all
I have
here?
some questions.
I have some questions.
No joke.
I don't think there's any questions to ask because I actually am Asian. So what are you
on Twitter that day? I vividly remember that. Like, oh, Bubba Wallace should be in prison for violence on Asian Americans. Like, dude, just come on and say you're a racist at that point.
Stop Asian hate. Let's stop Asian hate now. Come on.
Stop
now.
Asian hate.
Stop Asian hate, dude.
Just stop hating in general. Choose love.
Yeah.
Damn.
But actually, I was telling the guys earlier today that I was actually at that Roval race where Custer manipulated the outcome, and I actually got to meet Kyle in person that weekend. And I had a little interesting conversation with Kyle, and I said, "So I know Richard Childress said no to the Cup 3 car, but what about doing the 3 car in Xfinity for a race or 2?"
I can't believe you just asked him like. I love how you just fucking like straight up asked like, "Hey, can we do that?"
So what was the answer to that conversation? Like, is he gonna get it?
Well, Kyle didn't even know that was a thing. Like, he kind of looked at me and he's all like, "Wait, there's a 3 car in Xfinity for RCR," and I had to remind him that Jeffrey Earnhardt ran it earlier that year at Dega, and Kyle's just like, "Oh, okay, maybe."
Well, could you imagine Darlington next year? He runs like a throwback Dale Earnhardt scheme in the Xfinity
Yeah.
series.
That's exactly what we talked
Bre-
about. Just
Black,
a whole bunch
black.
of Dale Senior.
At
Tributes.
Talladega, like do it at Talladega, just
Oh,
a fucking
Yeah, and then he wins that.
Get that Rowdy Energy sponsored 3-car out there. The same paint scheme, same.
same font.
Please.
It could work,
Yeah.
dude. It could work.
He's
Sure
gonna
someone
have a
has a
lot of
concept
more
out.
Chevy teammates next year, so it could happen.
I'm excited for the super speedways, dude. Like what with us being a Chevrolet and not being outnumbered as fuck like we were in Toyotas, that makes me so fucking happy.
How was the championship race? Was that like as it
Oh,
was?
it sucked ass. It sucked ass.
Did it go as how I probably predicted it was going to go?
Well, depends on how you predicted it.
I predicted like it was just going to be the top 4 the whole time.
It was only the top 1. Like Logano
Yeah.
just fucking dominated.
Logano was just dominant all day.
What was the racing outside of it even good at all, or was it?
No.
Not really.
It was ass.
I mean, I feel like Phoenix as a whole has been kind of ruined the last couple of years with the way they laid that traction compound up high, and I feel like it made the outside line essentially godlike, and that really killed the racing.
Oh, and also Jared. So I don't know if you probably saw this too, but Coy Gibbs passed away like the morning of the race.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
And that for me, that just killed it. Like I was excited or trying to be like emotionally ready for Kyle's last race at JGR and M&M's, and then when I saw like the news that Ty like stepped out for like a family emergency, I just thought. I mean, I knew it was serious right off the bat, but I didn't think it was something like that. Like I was, in my mind, I was hoping that it would not be as bad, or it would eventually work out.
Mhm.
And then people started saying, like, with all the rumors going around, if you're saying jokes about Ty Gibbs, like now's not the time, or delete them, or if you say shit about it, like you're an asshole. I'm like, dude, what the fuck is going on? And then the rumors. I didn't want to speculate anything. I wanted to wait till like we got like official word, and then like I started my live stream, and then 5 minutes after I started, like the news broke on my TV, and I fucking started crying, dude. Like I actually thought about logging off like all my stream, like ending it, but I'm like, well, I started, I got to finish it, but like it just killed the vibe, like where I couldn't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if we take all that stuff away, though, I did see Ty Gibbs got some shit after the Martinsville race. I did hear about that just based from what I saw.
Yeah,
I have a lot of things I could say about Ty Gibbs, but I'm gonna save it for Instagram, and I'm gonna do like one of those overlong videos where you post it on your story, and it's just a whole bunch of different clips that they post it as, and it's just one big continued video.
So now, if we're looking at it for next year, do you think who's going to get more boos, Kyle Busch or Ty Gibbs?
Well, after his dad's death, I think people are going to give Ty another. This is going to be life changing for him. Because I obviously he was like driving like a punk, this season. But I feel like after his dad's death, I think that's going to change him personally in the way he drives. Like I think he's going to be a lot better person than that. It's really going to be a maturity thing for him. So, see, that's actually a tough question.
Okay. When do you expect the announcement that he's getting the 18 next year?
January.
Yeah.
That's how they did it for when he joined Xfinity full time as well. So.
Yeah, that's like Joe Gibbs like never announced the lineup till like the very last week before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll do it then. Jared, I actually do want to ask you, like, what are your expectations for Kyle next year now that he's taking the 8-car?
I think it's definitely not going to be as disappointing as the last couple years with the 18 have been. Just if Tyler Reddick's been able to get that much out of RCR, I think Kyle's going to be able to get a lot out of that 8-car. I'm kind of expecting like 2-3 wins, maybe 3 at the most. I don't see him going winless. I could also see him going on a tear this year with a new fresh start, because you kind of saw that in 2008 when he got his new fresh start with Gibbs going with 8 wins. And the super speedways, like you guys were just saying, he's definitely going to have a lot more help with the Chevrolet teams. And you obviously have a lot of better Chevrolet drivers out there. So definitely that's going to help. Yeah, 2 to 3 wins is my prediction.
He needs to get back to that. He needs to get back to doing like 3 to 4 wins a year, competing for wins like every single week, and competing for championships too. Because like I said this earlier, like he has to take a big step up because I feel like this upcoming season is going to define how the rest of his career goes at RCR.
Yeah, so
if
it's one of those, it's one of those things where if he puts up like Austin Dillon type of finishes, then we're like, all right, we're gonna expect like 1 win, first round playoff exit. That's just how it's gonna end. I don't.
Like if I was about to say, like if it next season comes and it's still the same shit, then there's a bigger fucking problem.
Mm-hmm. But I do think mentally for him, I think he'll be a lot more focused and on the team now, because I know, like, obviously this year, half the year, he was trying to figure out where he's even going to be next year. So you have to assume that probably played a big factor in your focus and mental preparation for races. And then, this year, you always got to worry about is just driving now. It doesn't have to worry about contract or whatever. And
yeah,
I think this year will be a big determining point to see what happens. And so I think if we see like a 3-4 win type of season, I think we can expect Kyle Busch to be Kyle Busch again. But if it's like Austin Dillon numbers, maybe getting a lucky win here and there, then we're on the decline for the next 4 years or 5 years.
For the rest of his fucking career, dude. Like,
yeah. We'll be able to feel what Jimmy Johnson fans felt at the end of his last couple years.
Oh God, no, please.
No, I would like to see Kyle make the playoffs every year, if possible.
I think he will, but I just want him to get back to being in the round of 8 and the round of 4 every year.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice if we could get when will his 20th Daytona 500 start be? Do you know that stat, Dalton?
This year, I think it was his 18th. I need to count because they didn't count the 2015 one because he never really started. So
2025 then.
Either
2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16,
14,
and 16.
14, 16. Shit, hold on. I gotta do math. Actually, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna Google that because that might help. That's gonna help a lot better.
Of course, my cam's not really showing me.
Because anyways, what I was thinking is, I hope he wins. What I'm hoping is his 20th 500 start, he wins the 500 with RCR now. That'd be kind of cool.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Kyle Busch will finally win the Daytona 500.
Yeah, it piss everybody the fuck off. Wait, it could be like 2026 since they didn't count 2015.
No, that's it. I already included 2015 being out in that math because his rookie year was 2005. So that means you have to get one more year ahead. So 2025.
So it is 2025. Okay.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Okay, so this year, 2022 is his 17th Daytona 500 start. Next year, 2023 will be 18. 2024 will be 19. 2025 will be 20.
Oh, okay.
Yep, there it is.
Shout out racingreference.info. Yeah. That'll be interesting to see how that goes off. When do you think we'll get I know we just got the truck announcement. I did see that on Twitter. Do you think we'll get a sponsorship / paint scheme / merchandise announcement anytime soon?
It probably won't be till the M&M's contract ends, like in January. but we talked about this earlier before he came on. I read this article that they asked Kyle like right after the race Sunday, like, have you started like getting ready for RCR? Or and technically he can't because like he's still under contract through literally like New Year's Eve this year. And he said, yeah, a little bit. Like I've been going to the shop or taking visits there, and I've been texting Austin Dillon. This is gonna shock you. He's already working on a hunting license. Like Austin Dillon's literally trying to help him get a hunting license for sponsorship reasons, like Realtree and Bass Pro Shops.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's he doesn't strike me as a dude who'd go hunting out like.
He doesn't. He's not. And also, he said that I'm probably gonna take like a 3-chi and not think about the season on the way home.
Oh, I hope
Small
he's
little
I hope
hints at
3G
sponsorship.
sponsors him. And get some Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
Wow, that would be awesome, wouldn't it?
They need to fucking name it that. Like they need to release like a Kyle Busch brand if they do that and name it the fucking Kyle Busch.
Yeah, you know how popular
That would
be?
sell so well.
I don't even smoke weed, but like I would fucking do that if they did that.
You need to. It'd be a really good time. I definitely don't. Close. Oh man, what else did you guys talk about?
What was your favorite pace game?
That's tough.
There's so many, I know.
Holy cats. Shoot.
I don't think I was here when y'all asked about favorite paint schemes, right?
Well, how about this? We'll break it down. I'll break it down.
Oh no, you weren't. You weren't. So what do you got?
Okay, how about can we break it down by sponsor? How's that? Would that be a little bit better? Because it kind of helped me so like my favorite interstate scheme is probably the 2008 electric one with the red numbers. That'll still be an all-time favorite for me. Snickers, probably the 2011 Snickers peanut butter squares. That's one of my favorite Snickers schemes.
Snickers for me. Shit. I'm looking at my diecast case.
Yeah, same. That's what I'm doing right now.
2008 to 2010 diamond plate silver with the orange flames.
Okay.
That is a cool one. I actually have that Atlanta race win of that scheme from 2008. Toyota's first ever Cup win. But my favorite would have to be the one from 2011, that blue one with like the flames on there.
Oh my god,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. Gosh darn it, what else is there? Pedigree, probably the 2008 one that he wrecked Dale Jr. with. That's still going to be an all-time iconic paint scheme for me. So that's my favorite. That's
I
going
agree.
to be that'll be my favorite pedigree scheme. Double mint, probably the 2011 Bristol Sweep double mint one. That's going to top everything.
I agree that too.
Combos. I don't know. Combos is kind of tough. I
got to do the 2011 one.
That's what I'm thinking too. 2011 is probably my it for combos. Skittles, probably. I like the throwback Skittles. The
Artie Irvin.
Yep, that one's like an all-time favorite of mine. Low key one that never even ran a race. The Skittles dips. That's still
supposed to run Homestead. The fucking COVID fucked it.
Yeah, because I have that. What other sponsors are we missing?
Wait, did you say M&M's or?
Yeah, I know we have to get to M&M's. Favorite main M&M scheme. I don't know. I'm still a big fan of the crispy ones. That one will always hit home for me.
Yep.
Crispy M&Ms, hazelnuts probably a second. Pretzel, crispy pretzel. Yeah, there's too many. There's too many schemes to rank, dude.
Yeah, no.
I look at them all and I'm like, wow, that's a good one. Like even like I'm looking at the Halloween ones now. Like all the Halloween ones are good.
AJ,
We lost them.
this
I guess
is
it's just
undoubtedly one of the toughest announcements I've ever personally had to make. But at the exit 2-hour mark in the Fan Fuel podcast, we've lost AJ.
pain.
Hopefully he can come back on.
Hopefully, I'm probably gonna have top offs here soon. I got a bunch of stuff I need to do tonight still.
Yeah, same.
I got my I'll just plug myself. If you guys follow at JB Graphics, definitely check that out. We got a lot of nice content that's on there right now. Just had a podcast last night, which actually was my highest viewed episode I've ever had.
Let's go, baby.
I had literally had so many comments I could not keep up with them, and then I accidentally put on ones that were inappropriate to put on, but it happens.
It's part of it.
The episode last night was kind of cool because I literally made like t-shirt and hoodie sales while the show was going on because I was like shouting people out, I'm like, buy some stuff, and they're like, just bought it. And I looked on my site today, I'm like, wow, they actually did buy some stuff. Like,
yeah,
shout out Central Pennsylvania, I guess.
One good time.
What else could I bring up in the next 5 minutes before I help off?
Whatever you want.
Man, I saw what else could I bring up? I've just been kind of out of it, dude. I don't even know. I've been so far behind with everything right recently.
You satisfied with the Ravens season?
We'll see. I'm still very hesitant, especially with how all of our losses were all double-digit leads in the fourth quarter, under 10 minutes.
That's fucked, dude.
I know. They literally, like, before that loss to the Giants, they said that in the Ravens' 2 losses, they only trailed for 14 seconds. Because we lost the Dolphins game, we blew the Dolphins game, we blew the Bills game, we blew the Giants game. We're kind of getting lucked out, knock on wood, but the only teams that have a winning record left in our schedule are the Bengals once.
Yeah, we play y'all soon, and we suck ass.
We play Carolina after the bye, so we're on the bye week this week, and then the 20th we play Carolina.
Oh, yep, I see it now. All right, so
that's going to be a game they'll drop just because Carolina sucks.
Dude, we're so fucking bad. We are so fucking bad.
Yeah, I know they have Carolina. I think they have Atlanta, maybe. I know they have the Broncos, Pittsburgh, Cleveland.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Oh, I don't. You probably didn't see it because I follow the Ravens stuff. So they were doing like an Instagram live after the game, and they were talking to Justin Tucker or whatever, and he was like talking about that thing where Russell Wilson was doing like workouts or whatever on the plane.
Yeah.
So Justin Tucker was like, I think Lamar's going to be leading us on some high knees on the plane ride home. Ravens talk, let's fly. I'm like,
fuck.
Like you know it's bad when the kicker's burning you. Like, come on.
Yes. Well, I mean, not just any kicker, like the most like legendary kicker in the NFL, like ever since Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah, I'm real spoiled with that, and I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how the end of the season goes because I just don't know. Like I know not having a receiver, like not having a number one receiver, I feel like it's going to hurt down the line. Like literally, our number one receiver right now is Devin Duvernay, and he's like a number 3 anywhere else in the league. James Prochet, you've probably never even heard of that. Like, no. You know what I mean?
No.
Like at least like you look at like Arizona, they at least have like Hopkins and Robbie Anderson and Hollywood Brown. I mean, you look at the Bills, they got Stephon Diggs. The Eagles have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Like all the good quarterbacks that are out there have good receivers. So I think that might hurt down the line, but I also trust Lamar, and hopefully he gets some playoff wins and a contract next year because
what if Lamar got traded to the fucking Carolina Panthers?
I don't know. That's gonna hurt, dude. Because I've backed Lamar ever since he got drafted, and I still back him. Just that's gonna hurt.
Yeah. Well, tell them to pay the motherfucker.
I know they should. They definitely need to, but we'll see what happens. I guess he's banking on himself to win the Super Bowl this year, and
then they'll be forced to pay him.
Then they're like, oh, you better pay him. So
yep.
All right, I guess I'm gonna hop off soon, and hop off now, and maybe I'll see you guys during our NAS Christmas party again. I don't know if that's.
No, I definitely want to do that.
I don't know if that's in the works or if that's.
I'm sure we're going to. Like, we'll definitely talk to Cody about it.
Like NAS Christmas or whatever, part 2, and
yeah,
I'll get a little bit. I'll get loopy for that episode. And
sponsored by Wool.
Yeah. Sponsored by NOS Energy.
Oh, okay.
Shout out NOS Energy for getting me through my days. Well, it was good talking to you, Dalton. I'm glad I got to I can't even talk. Glad I got to catch up with you for a few minutes. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a while, man. I hope you're doing well.
I have been. It's just been a very busy last couple of weeks with work and all the stuff I'm doing with my business page up here and going to dirt races every weekend.
I hear you.
It happens, but good chatting with you, dude. We will catch up at some other point, probably in the next couple weeks or so, since Christmas is coming up.
Yep. Have
a good night. Hope your Panthers do a little bit better, except not against the Ravens. But even though I don't have expectations, I feel like that game's going to be that's going to be a 2017 type of game. You wait.
Dude, fuck the Panthers. Go Vols. Like, Vols are much better.
Shout out Vols. Shout out Tennessee.
Go Vols.
Catch you later, Dalton.
See you, man. Oh, he forgot the end of the episode. Oh, shit. I'm going to try to log off. This is Fan Fuel. Thanks for tuning into the Rowdy Roundup. Appreciate you guys. Go KFB. Go damn Vols. Fuck Georgia. Fuck Alabama. See you guys later.